Hi everyone, welcome to a new episode of Trident Talks. Today I'm joined with Fay Coxon. Hi Fay,
Hello. Hi,
how are
Danielle.
you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Good, I'm very well, thank you. Thanks for joining.
Good.
So Fay, as you know, I'm doing a Trident Talk series this month on candidates transitioning from large corporate companies that have moved into a smaller startup company. So thank you for joining, appreciate it. If you just want to intro yourself.
Yeah, no, my pleasure. Thanks for asking me. I've never really done anything
Sure.
like this before, so it's a new experience to add to my
Good.
collection. So yeah, thanks for having me.
Sure.
So yeah, obviously I'm Faye. I am currently working as a business development manager at Pentest Partners.
Perfect.
And
And how's
I'm
it all
sure we'll get
going?
into more about me.
Yeah, we will. We
Don't know
will.
how much to go into on the intro. So yeah, no, but it's going well, thanks. So I've
Good.
just been here since the start of August, so just coming up to 2 months nearly. So still early days, still
Yeah.
yeah, still kind of learning, but yeah, feeling quite settled and enjoying it so far.
Good. So talk us through your journey, because I know you were with NCC and Iris before. Tell us about your journey there.
Yeah. So I've been a business development manager for about 3.5 years. So I kind of started out my sales journey. Ooh, I hate saying it, it makes me feel old, like nearly 9 years ago, in 2014. So yeah, started working at Iris after I graduated uni. Didn't really know what I wanted to do. I think like a lot of people, then ended up being kind of approached for an IT sales role. Thought, sure, I'll give that a go for a little bit. And then yeah, nearly 9 years later, here I am still doing a
Yeah.
similar kind of thing. So yeah, I did a few different roles at Iris. Started out in telesales on the phones, then went into sort of management and led a team for about 3 years there, which was great experience. And then after that, I wanted to sort of get back into the sales side and miss that kind of client facing interaction that I had before. So went into an external business development role, which I did for a couple of years at Iris, sort of the software space, and then decided I was interested in making a move to cybersecurity. So yeah, I went to
Yeah.
work for NCC for it was just over half a year in the end, and then yeah, sort of got a few different things that had happened and felt like it was time for a change, which again, I'm sure we can chat about more. Um, but yeah, basically just then ended up sort of working with pen test partners. So
Nice.
yeah.
Good. So what do you think like excited you or like enticed you to get into cyber and cyber sales?
Yeah, it was a few things really. My other half's in the military, so he had been sort of thinking of different roles that he might like to do when he leaves the
Mm.
military. That was something that had come up in that conversation with him, and I was like, yeah, cybersecurity sounds interesting. And
Yeah.
obviously, there's so much on the news about every company getting hacked here, there, and everywhere. So I just thought, yeah, it seems like obviously a very relevant space right now. And then the more I kind of looked into it, the more I thought, yeah, this sounds like something I'd like to get my teeth stuck into. So, yeah, I think especially after doing sort of software sales, I was a bit familiar with the tech space, so it wasn't too much of a jump. But yeah, selling sort of consultancy days and
Mhm.
different services is quite different to kind of the software sell, but in a good way. I think you've got kind of a lot of value where you can add to your clients in this area. There's always something
Yeah,
to talk
absolutely.
about, always something new, always a new
Mhm.
service. So yeah, it's been great. But
Good.
yeah, that's it really. So I'm
Good.
hoping to stay. That's my plan. I'm sort of like I can see myself staying in cybersecurity now I'm
Good.
here. So yeah.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, it's such a niche market and it is very exciting. There's always, like you say, there's things happening all the time, like hacks and things like that. And it's
Yeah.
interesting to read like how much actually goes on. It's crazy. Um,
Yeah.
and
Makes you
another
look at
reason
the
why I
world in a
joined.
very different way. Yeah.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. So obviously I know you moved from Iris Software Group to NCC and now obviously Pentest Partners, which are a little bit smaller. So I know NCC were like over 2,000 employees, and now Pentest Partners are like 104. So there's a real difference in size.
Yeah. Yeah, very different.
How are you finding that?
Yeah, it's good. It's obviously I knew it was going to be like a big change from
Mm,
because when I was at Iris as well, I think just as I left, they had around similar number of employees as NCC, so around the 2000 mark. So
mhm.
I'd kind of gone from one organization to another that even though they did different things, they were quite similar in their structure and how they kind of operate and the number of people there. So
Yeah.
it felt quite familiar. And then coming here, I sort of I'm a bit of an overthinker and nerdy planner, like to think about every single scenario, which sometimes is good, sometimes is bad. But I think I had sort of, yeah, I had my expectations set, and I feel like it is quite similar to what I was expecting, which is
Good.
good.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's just very different. I think you'll know yourself from going to sort of from a larger organization to a smaller one.
Mm,
Just the fact that you can sort of get to know everyone really quickly.
yeah.
I mean, obviously, I don't know everyone yet. It's been a couple of months, and there's 100 people, but
Yeah.
you know, I know all of my team now. I know, sort of who's who in the different departments. Whereas at, NCC and Iris, I wouldn't have had that. There would have been far too many people to kind of get your head around. So yeah, I really like that side that you can, who everyone is. You've
Yeah.
got access to everyone. It's not like, you email an inbox, you get a ticket, you don't know who's helping you with something, you know the
Mm,
person by name, you can get to know them on a personal level, and I really like that
yeah.
side.
Good. And what do you think were your main motivations for you to move?
Yeah, I think sort of the situation leaving NCC Group, I had a really good time there, worked with some great people. They were just sort of going through some structural changes at the time, and I think it was just kind of
Mm,
bad timing that just as I'd kind of gone past the 6 month mark in my role and was just getting, my feet under the table, they made some sort of changes to the team, which meant that the role kind of wasn't really there as I thought it was going to be. It
mm,
changed quite a bit. So I kind of felt like I was being treated a little bit like a number. Like I said, I did work with some great people there, so I don't want to kind of badmouth them, but
yeah, sure.
I didn't really feel like me as an individual was really very important there because obviously how can you be when there's that many people
Mm,
working for a company? So I wanted to be somewhere where I would be sort of more valued, treated as, an individual rather than just sort of a person on a spreadsheet or a name, a number, whatever.
mm,
Um, so yeah, that was it really. I just wanted that more sort of, be in touch with the senior leadership team, have that kind of access to everyone, a more kind of open structure rather than very top down, like here's the decision, we've made it. And yeah, I think so far at PTP, it's definitely been that way that I am valued and
yeah.
I can speak to everyone. I've been asked for my input on certain changes that they're bringing about, which is great. You really feel like you can make a difference in a smaller
Mm,
organization. You're not just in your lane, like you're very much in, your sales lane when you're in a bigger place because they can't have everyone getting involved with everything because it would just be bedlam. Whereas
yeah.
when there's fewer people, you can actually be like, okay, we'd like input from someone from sales on this.
Yeah.
What do you think? And you just feel like you're making a bit more of a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. In my previous training talks I done, actually, I said exactly that. Literally, you have so much of an input because it is such a small team that you're in. You can have one, you can add value. One, you've got input on how the business grows and what you want to do and making a difference, like you say. So yeah, completely agree there.
Yeah, and it feels like they actually care, if you get what I mean. It's not just, sometimes when you'll give feedback on things maybe in a bigger organization, it sort of feels like, I mean, I know a couple of years ago, I felt like I was filling in sort of employee surveys
Mm.
every month, and I just kind of felt like I'm spending my time on this. I'm not getting anything back. I
Yeah,
don't know if anyone's reading it.
yeah, that's it.
It feels like if they are reading it, it's just a tick box exercise. They're not actually taking on board what I'm saying. So
Mm.
yeah, whereas here it sort of feels like they actually would take on board feedback and do actually care what their employees have to say, which is really
Mm.
nice.
It's important, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
good. What would you say is your favorite thing in your new job?
Oh, it's a hard one. I think everything we've kind of spoken about is really important to me.
Yeah.
So that kind of, having access to everyone and feeling like you can make a difference is great. I guess, yeah, just the kind of culture, I would say the overall, I know it's a bit broad, but just the overall culture of being here. And,
Mm.
they do kind of like a weekly news call where they do recognition for things that have gone well, and they're very
That's
open
nice.
about things and they maybe
Mm.
haven't gone to plan. And I just think that overall kind of honesty and culture is really important, is what I was looking for when I came here. So the fact that it is
Yeah.
kind of on that expectation and
Hmm.
more really.
Yeah.
That's probably what I'd say I like the best. Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. Honesty is so important. Like you say, like telling you if they've messed up or they haven't done this or haven't hit target or something, it's just being open about it and sort of holding everyone accountable sounds quite aggressive, but like
No, I
making
don't think it
sure that
does. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're holding
yeah,
themselves to account as well.
yeah,
It's
that's
not
it.
just like, I think you can feel like that sometimes in bigger organizations that, you might be put on the spot to be like, why have you not done this? Here's
Mm,
what you should have delivered, blah, blah, blah. But then you would never get that from a senior
no,
person to be like, oh, actually, I
yeah,
said I
that's
was going to
it.
do this and I haven't. Whereas
Yeah,
here it sort of feels like there's not really as many spaces to hide. Everyone's just open about things. And I think
yeah,
it
yeah,
means that the culture and the kind of, there's no blame culture. It's just very much like, look, this is realistic. Things go wrong. Here's how we'll do it next time, and that's
yeah, yeah.
fine.
And you all know that you're there to help each other, right? So,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
good. And that obviously comes in with the culture, which is important. So that's good. So obviously when I'm speaking to candidates on the market, there is always that, would you consider a startup? And they're very hesitant to think about joining a startup because they're very comfortable. And for me, when I was at my previous company, I was just very comfortable. So when I was approached for Trident, I was kind of hesitant to join because they're a startup, it's a small team and things like that. And you don't really look at the bigger picture of how you can really add value in a smaller company. So when I do speak to candidates now, obviously I love Trident, it's amazing, it's the best move I've ever made. But it is that risk of leaving and joining a small startup. So when I do speak to candidates, they are very hesitant to join a startup because of those reasons. So what advice would you give someone to join a smaller startup? If your like friends or ex-colleagues were like, "Oh, I'm thinking about it," what would you say?
Yeah, I think as with any decision, you've kind of got to take a bit of a step back and look at your reasons for doing it, haven't you? So for
Mm,
me, I had, like we've spoken about, I had to sort of step back and think, right, what don't I actually like about this situation? What do I want from a future situation? I wanted that recognition. I wanted to be involved in things. I wanted to not just be doing, my little job of that was it, stay in my lane. I wanted to be able to sort of be a bit more flexible and work on different projects and things like that. So they were sort of, my reasons along with quite a few others. And yeah, I just felt like when I was looking for a new role, it just kind of felt like the natural move that the kind of jobs I was looking at that were attractive to me were with smaller organizations or startups.
mm,
So I think I hadn't really thought it through in terms of like, oh, I want to go work for a smaller organization. It just so happened that the kind of culture and setup of a smaller organization was then in line with what I was looking for. So I think,
mm,
it's not going to be for everyone. Some people prefer that, log on, do your job, log off, that's it. Like, and that's fine if that's what they're looking for. Then
yeah,
maybe a startup isn't for them. But I think if your reasons are leaning more towards, what you can't get from a larger organization, but you can get from a startup or a smaller organization, then just go for it because
yeah,
I think you'll never, if you haven't, like I hadn't ever worked for an organization of this size until last month. So I think you just don't know until you've tried it. So
mm,
I feel like it's a bit kind of vague advice, but yeah, look at what you want. If the values kind of align, then just be
yeah,
brave and make the move because it's just, yeah, I mean, you've said obviously for you wouldn't look back and it's the best decision you've made. I feel
mm,
very similar. Like I can see myself staying here for a long time, hopefully,
good.
all being well. So yeah, yeah, no, I'd definitely encourage anyone to do the same, really, if that's what they're looking for.
Yeah, good.
And as well, another thing just to kind of keep in mind is sort of being in, having your values in line with what the company values are as well. Because I think with a bigger organization, like I've kind of alluded to, there's more places to hide if you're not maybe a big fan of this culture in the company or that process in the company, you can sort of just ignore that in a bigger place. But if it's
Mm,
smaller and you're going to be having direct one-on-one contact with people who are planning certain events within the company or how things are done, if you don't like it, is less places to hide. So I
yeah.
think, yeah, just being on board with, if you're not a fan of something, getting stuck in and giving your honest feedback,
Mm,
because it's going to show, I think, if you're not on board
100%.
with things.
Yeah, I
So
agree.
yeah.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah.
So I've been asking everyone that joins my Trident Talk series, if you could retire tomorrow, what would you do?
Oh, imagine.
It'd be
Um,
lovely.
yeah, if it was tomorrow and I was sort of this age and was retiring tomorrow, which I guess it would be,
Yeah.
um, I guess it would be a very different retirement to the one I'm probably going to have in God knows however many years. But yeah, I'd love to travel. I'd love to, see more of the world. If money
Mm,
was no object, yeah, just love to kind of hop on a plane and yeah, maybe get a private jet and just take my little dogs on board because they can't
Nice.
fly on many commercial airlines.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, not very eco-friendly, but there you go. But
Nah,
no, yeah, I'd love
gets the
to
dogs
travel and
away.
then exactly, yeah,
Yeah,
just love to see more of the world and yeah, just sort of do a bit of, charity work, support where I can. If you've not got work getting in the way, then you can just probably make a difference in lots of other ways, which would be nice.
good.
If I was retiring as an elderly person, I think
Yeah,
a nice house by the seaside where you can just potter around and
yeah.
have nice views would be lovely as well.
And the dogs can have a nice little run around on the sea.
Yeah,
There you
yeah,
go.
exactly. They've got to
Perfect.
factor into every plan,
Yeah,
obviously.
absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, well, Faye, thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate your time. It's been great chatting
No
with you. I
problem.
feel it will hopefully entice more people to come and join startup companies because it is great. I love it, and I'm sure you will with your time at Pentest Partners. So, yeah, thank you so much for joining. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Faye.